Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and joining me today is Barb Templin.
Hi.
She is a fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club. And I want to welcome you, Barb.
Thank you.
And today we're going to be talking about leaves, and more leaves, which we're going to have shortly.
Yes.
Yes. We also will be talking about upcoming events that are happening around the area and what you need to be doing in your garden in October.
There's a lot to do.
There's, leaves, mainly leaves. But first I want to thank our sponsor, the Creeks Nursery on McNelly Road in Bella Vista. They're a great place to purchase trees, shrubs, perennials, annuals, garden products.
Don't they have hardscape too?
They have a lot of rock and benches, beautiful rock benches, and
mulch,
bulk
everything that you need
mulch
to make your yard beautiful.
Absolutely. And they're wonderful to work with. So, and I think they're beginning to stock their fall annuals, snapdragons and kale and things like that. So, but when you shop there, be sure and thank them for sponsoring our TV program. We really appreciate it.
Is this the first sponsor we've ever had?
It's the one and only so far.
Okay.
Yeah. So, PL and Smith has his sponsors, and we have ours. So.
Right, because we're running with the big dogs.
Okay, but gardening events coming up. There's not much going on, but if you have a chance, Crystal Bridges is showing the North Forest Lights exhibit, and I think this is the last time they're going to be doing it. I think so. That's what I'm reading.
It is absolutely amazing.
It's gorgeous.
And if anybody that hasn't seen it yet, you need to take advantage of this opportunity.
And I think since they're starting a little early, they started September 1st.
Right.
And they're running until, I think, January 2nd. They're ending it a little earlier. And it might be a little warmer, than last year. Last year was so cold.
My goodness,
it's the coldest year in 70 years. So anyway, but it's just wonderful. They have hot chocolate you can get if you get a little chilly. So it's a beautiful, beautiful display in the forest.
So now you walk through it.
You walk through, and then the Chihuly glass exhibits are lit up, and it's just magnificent. So, but have to do that.
Yes.
And there's in Northwest Arkansas, we have wonderful color in the fall. Usually.
Not like up north.
Yeah,
But we don't have the same kind of trees.
Well, we have a variety of trees.
Yes.
So, but they said it's forecasted not to be as good as it has in the past, but you just never know until the colors come out.
Now, does a drought?
Yeah, the August-September rains really have an effect because that allows the trees to hold those leaves. And you'll notice some of the leaves are just turning brown and falling off already.
Yes.
So it's just, it's a hit and miss, but it'll still be pretty. And one of the prettiest views is to take that trip down the Boston Mountains.
Oh my gosh.
Take Highway 49, I-49, and it's always beautiful.
Go down the pink trail,
yeah.
That's gorgeous.
And in Bella Vista, I have found that the Chelsea Drive, or Chelsea Road, from one end to the other is always gorgeous. There's so many different trees, that are kind of mixed together, and the colors are they're just wonderful. But Chelsea Drive is a wonderful drive in Bella Vista to see the colors. So we just have to hope and pray that we have beautiful colors.
Right. But our falls are usually longer than up north also.
Yeah,
so
they
we
do
have
last
more time to take care of our fall things.
And sometimes you'll just see one tree that just turns bright red and everything around is green. So it's a lot of variety we have here. So, but it's a beautiful time of year, and we're done with all that summer heat which we had.
Yes.
So. Anyway, what we want to discuss today was the leaves, and if you live in Bella Vista or probably in Northwest Arkansas, you have a lot of leaves to deal with.
Right.
And today they say you should not have a leaf leave your property.
Right.
There is an organic gardener named Howard Garrett in Texas.
Isn't that the one Tony?
Tony Lacazzi is a real fan of his and uses his website a lot. It's called www.dirtdoctor.com, and he is the dirt doctor.
He's the dirt doctor.
Tells you how to get wonderful dirt in your garden. And he's one of the leaders in research, education, and promotion of natural organic gardening.
So is he saying that leaves are a great...
They are a great asset, and they should not leave your property. But that's kind of hard to do sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, if you go to his website, you'll find a lot of information there. And it's like, how do you accomplish that in Bella Vista?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to deal with all these leaves. Our property is called Oak Leaf Acre.
Yeah, I believe it.
For a
you have
reason. So we have about 2 lots that are an acre. And we can find oak leaves on our property or in our gardens 365 days a year.
Yes.
Doesn't matter when, you're going to see oak leaves.
Now, oak leaves typically do not do much color in the fall.
Oh, some of them do. Yeah, some do. They turn yellow.
I must have the brown kind.
You have the
then.
brown oaks?
Yes, I think that's what I have.
Yeah, there's white oaks and there's bur oaks and there's different oaks, but they do turn, you know. And if you live on one of the lakes here, you can't blow those leaves out in the water. You just can't do that. And if you have a property without common ground around you, you know, you're just, what do you do with your leaves? You can't blow them on your neighbor's property. So
they kind of frown on that.
Yeah.
But we are lucky in that we have a green space on one side, and then we have our own lot in the back, and we are leaving that natural. We're not doing anything with it. Oh, we could add to the leaf population there, but
Well, that's what I have too. I have the extra lot that I don't, you know, cultivate.
right.
So
because I want the wildlife to have a
yeah.
place to be too.
Burrow in the winter.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good place to put your leaf pile, and then you can get leaf mulch. So, but if you have common ground around you, you're just blessed to have that.
Right.
You know, but you can't put too much out there in the common ground because otherwise you'll have a wall of leaves all around you.
Right.
That's not good for the common ground. So you have to just be cautious about putting too much on the common ground.
And there's a difference, isn't there, between just the leaves being on the ground and then as opposed to you mulching them
Right.
out? Because they won't.
They don't disintegrate easily.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
They do out in the woods because, you know, out in the woods you see a small layer. It's not piles and piles in the woods. It's pretty well spread out. So, but leaves, you can shred the leaves with a leaf shredder, and we've done that.
Now, is that part of the lawnmower thing,
Well,
or just a machine?
It's a machine, and you just put the leaves in, and it shreds it, and it blows it into a big bag, and then you can bag that and save it for, you know, your leaf mulch. And then if you pile it on your grass, you know, put your leaves on the grass and use a mulching lawnmower. You can mulch it and collect it in a bag, and then bag that for use later. And you can make containers. You can leaf mulch containers out of chicken wire. And I got chicken wire here to show you here. You can take chicken wire and make round cylinders, and you could put them like on the edge of your property, and they almost disappear.
Right, I would imagine, because
they could be 3 foot high, and just pile your leaves in them. And they do that. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do that at Compton Gardens. If you go to Compton Gardens, you'll see, if you look closely, you'll see some bins made out of chicken wire, probably, and there's just leaves in them. But they kind of disappear, you know, in the fall.
Now, will those leaves, unshredded, eventually?
Oh, yeah. They'll, in a year's time, you can have some wonderful leaf mulch. And if you want to even speed up the process, you can use some sugar water.
What does sugar water do
Well,
to
sugar
leaves?
adds those microbes, it increases the microbes. They just go after
help
that
break
sugar,
it.
and they break it down. You have more, you know, wonderful leaf mulch that way.
Any special recipe for the sugar water?
No, just, you know,
Just anything.
sugar and water.
Okay.
If you have like empty jelly jars or maple sugars jar, you know, containers, you know, just put some water in there, shake it up, and then pour that on your pile.
Yeah.
And then it'll add
Your
that
neighbors
sugar.
might think you're a little weird, but
Yeah, well, we don't. Our neighbors always think we do crazy things.
yes, as gardeners, don't
But
they?
it just stimulates more microbes and earthworm activity.
Now that
Earthworm.
is really important
That's
too,
important, 'cause
because
they
that's
help
what
break-
leaves help.
They break them down.
Right.
They really do.
Right.
So if you have these containers, you know, with a lot of leaves, you want to be able to get into the middle. The middle is going to probably disintegrate faster
Okay.
than the outside edges for some reason. But you know, go in the middle of that leaf pile and you'll have some wonderful leaf mulch, or they call it leaf mulch or leaf.
Right. But couldn't you do that around, say, a plant or a pot
Oh,
that
yeah.
you don't want to
Well-
take all the things out of it, the things that are growing in there?
Yeah.
But would that winterize it? Would that protect it?
That's what I
enough?
used to do. I used to make my hybrid tea roses. I would make little cages like this
Oh.
and put it over my hybrid teas and my grandifloras, and I just filled it with leaves. Now, I didn't pack it down real tight, but just filled it with leaves, so it protects the rose for winter. And you do that probably after the second hard freeze,
Oh, okay.
and then
And is that better than the styrofoam?
oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Because you're
You're adding to that.
and then it's going to attract those earthworms for the, you know, for your roses too. So that's what. And then if you have a climbing rose,
Oh.
you can take like a half circle. This is like a half circle here, and put it up against, you know, what your
Oh,
climbing
sure.
rose is attached to, and put the leaves in that way, so that you can use on your climbing roses. Or, you know, if your clematis is one you don't cut back, you can do that on your clematis too,
Oh.
and protect them a little bit.
But the leaves do not suffocate the plant.
No, no.
Or anything.
You don't want to pack it. You want it loose enough so the rain can go through it.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
So you're not.
So you're not really packing it in there
No.
because you want the rain to
You
go
want
through.
the rain to go through.
Okay.
But you're just protecting it, you know, a little
Okay.
bit. Any of your perennials that are tender, some people try to grow these perennials, you know, we're in zone 6, and some people try to grow zone 7 plants.
Right,
And-
right. And I myself, I have canna lilies. Some are in the ground, but I've got a couple in big planters. And I was thinking of a way.
That would be another way to do that. Is
That's
to,
a good idea
yeah.
then.
And
I'm
then you
gonna
can
have
wrap
to-
your planter with styrofoam
Oh, okay.
or bubble wrap, and that kind of helps your planter stay warmer too.
Wow.
So it's a lot we can do with leaves
Mm-hmm.
and
Is there anything you can do with pine needles?
well,
Is that that's not really technically a leaf, but I
no,
mean,
but if there's a study that was made that if you mix the pine needles and leaves and mulch those
oh,
together,
together. Okay.
that it forms a different chemical reaction. So it's kind of
Because the pine and the
it's a
tannin-
symbiotic relationship between the two, but it makes it a little different mulch when you end up. A little different microbes maybe, but it's a wonderful combination. So you can do that, and it really attracts earthworms too. the
because
pine needles.
there are such big, beautiful pine trees
Oh, yeah.
around.
And I
you
don't
know.
have any
Yeah, neither
around
do
me.
I.
I don't have any around me, so I'd have to go search them out,
Right,
try to
right.
find them. But
But-
that's what you can do with your leaves is just, you know, mulch them. They break down easier, and you can use them quicker.
So if you shred your leaves,
Mm-hmm.
is that something then that you can use as a mulch in the summertime then?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of putting...
Yeah. Yeah, so
other
now that
things-
you've shredded them and you've got them bagged, then you can use them. And
Okay.
there was a study years ago that if you took the leaf mulch from one large tree, it would be the equivalent of $50 of fertilizer.
Really?
Yeah. So that was years and years ago. So now that could be $70 to $75 worth
Right.
of fertilizer.
Right.
And it's all organic, which
Yes.
you really want. So it's a great way to fertilize. And then if you layer it over your garden beds and work it into the soil, your soil is going to be, much more pliable and just have so many more microbes and just be healthier.
Right. Right.
And then and it's great for your vegetable garden.
I would imagine.
To top
I
that
would imagine.
vegetable garden over the winter with it.
Are there any leaves that are bad to have?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I don't think
Because
so.
they all will.
Well, your magnolia leaves might be a little hard to mulch and hard to break down. So magnolias are pretty tough.
Because that's a thick leaf.
Yeah.
But that is one thing that you can do with magnolia leaves is that you can make art things out of them.
Oh, yeah. Art
So,
projects.
yeah.
Spray them colors. Use
But
them
you
for
can do that with dried leaves and that sort of thing too. Although that's a painstaking way of using your leaves.
Yeah. They still wouldn't leave your
But-
property if you use them for
Right,
craft
right,
projects.
exactly.
That's legitimate.
Yeah, that counts.
That counts. But magnolia leaves are a little tough. It takes a long time for them to break down.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but your other, your oak leaves are probably the second hardest to break. And then your Japanese maples, they are very thin and fine, and they're
Right.
going to break down real easy. So,
Right.
and then if you use the hardwood mulch in the spring, what you can do is put a layer first of your leaf mulch
Oh, okay.
on top,
And then put
and then
your.
put hard mulch on top of that. Now, one year I tried to use just leaf mulch.
Yeah.
After I shredded it, but sometimes the wind blows and it blows it
yes.
out. And then, of course, if you try to blow leaves, you're blowing your mulch out. So I found that it's for just leaf mulch alone in your beds is not
Enough.
enough. It's,
right.
It's too light,
Right.
and it'll blow away. But if you put that layer of hardwood mulch on top, or if you use pine bark mulch or something like that on top, it keeps it. And then, of course, that really feeds your soil and attracts the microbes.
Yeah, but you're not using the colored mulch.
no.
Because that.
No. You never want to use the dyed mulch. You don't want to put dye in your garden. It's not good. Hardwood mulch from the area you live in is the best. And then there's pine bark mulch is always good. Cedar mulch is another one that you can use, and that I think that kind of keeps the critters away too. The cedar.
Does the mulch and the hard bark mulch and the leaves work together to break down? So then you're doubly enriching
the soil?
the
yeah.
soil.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So mending the soil with the leaves is a very
It's very good,
important thing to
especially because we have a lot of clay.
do. Right.
We have
right.
clay soil, and that the leaves will.
And rocks.
And oh yeah, well we can't do too much about the rocks.
I
They're not
know.
going to soften the rocks any.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
But anyway.
But you said something a little while ago interesting is that you can use leaves on your shredded leaves on your tropical plants or your potted house plants.
Yeah. So when you pot your annuals in the summer, you can use that leaf mulch, on top of the pot, so that'll retain the moisture.
Oh, okay.
And it'll feed the plant and kind of, give you that little boost of feeding.
You don't
during
mix
your-
it in the leaves with the soil.
Well, if you take the cheapest potting soil you can find and you mix that half and half with leaf mulch, you'll have a wonderful potting soil.
Really?
Yes. So if you take take a big bag of the cheap stuff that's not really good,
Right.
and add your leaf mulch half and half, mix that in a wheelbarrow, I mean, it's going to be a very good potting soil.
Well, it makes it really affordable for people that
yeah.
can't afford the.
Well, some of the potting soils are so expensive.
Yes.
And they'll have that, feed in there, and they charge you double for having a little slow release fertilizer added, or.
Right.
And some potting
And what you need
soils,
is just using your leaves to.
you just need natural materials
Organic
to
material.
make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes they put so much sphagnum moss in there, or
Oh yeah.
fillers. They put fillers
Right.
in that won't accept the water,
Right.
so it's hard to
Doesn't
water.
really break down.
No.
Yes.
And then once it dries out, you can't get it wet again. So it's really good to buy the cheap potting soil and add your leaf mulch.
Right.
And you have a wonderful potting soil.
Right.
And then you also can add a little of the slow release granules, you know, if you want to add them in.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't overdo that, but just, you know, to give your plants or annuals or whatever you're planting that and using that for is just give them a little boost.
Can you use your leaves then during the course of the summer
Oh,
to,
sure.
you know, kind of refresh?
Oh, yeah. Because if you have areas that, you know, if you're planting your plant and you see that soil is really hard or clay, you know, you can put the leaf mulch on top and work it in, and then eventually that's going to be really nice soil. So, but your leaf mulch and is a wonderful, wonderful thing to use.
Yes.
So,
yes, I agree. I
yeah.
agree.
And we do have a little humorous skit
Yes,
that
we
we
do.
wanted to share with
we do.
everyone.
You want to tell them a little bit about this
Well,
skit?
this little skit, we've done it at the garden club, and it's a funny little skit. And it's about God is talking to St. Francis. St. Francis is known for his garden
Oh.
expertise.
Oh.
So
okay.
it's a conversation with God and St. Francis. So you will be God and I will be St.
I got
Francis
the role
of
of
Assisi.
God.
Yes.
Try not to let it go to my head.
So,
Frank, you know all about gardens and natures. What in the world is going on down there in the Midwest? What happened to the dandelions and the violets and the thistle and the stuff I started eons ago? I had a perfect maintenance garden plan. Those plants grow in my type of soil with standing drought and multiply with abandon. The nectar from the long-lasting blooms would attract butterflies, honeybees, flocks of songbirds. I expected to see a vast garden of colors by now, but all I see are these green triangles.
well, it's the tribes down there, Lord. The suburbanites. They started calling your flowers weeds and went to the great extent to kill them and replace them with grass.
Grass? But that is so boring. It's not colorful. It doesn't attract butterflies, birds, or bees, only grubs and sodworms. It's temperamental with temperatures. Do these suburbanites really want all that grass growing there?
Apparently so, Lord. They go to great pains to grow and keep it green. They begin each spring by fertilizing grass and poisoning any other crops that up in the lawn.
The spring rains and the cool weather probably makes them grow really fast. That must make the suburbanites happy.
Apparently not, Lord. As soon as it grows a little, they cut it, sometimes twice a week.
They cut it? Do they bale it like hay?
Not exactly, Lord. Most of them rake it up and put it in bags.
They bag it? Why? It's a cash crop. Do they sell it?
No, sir. That's just the opposite. They pay to throw it away.
Okay, now let me get this straight. They fertilize grass so it will grow. And then when it does grow, they cut it off and pay to throw it away.
Yes, sir.
These suburbanites must be relieved in the summer when they can cut back on the rain.
Well,
One moment. Turn up the heat. That surely slows the growth and saves them a lot of work.
You aren't going to believe this one, Lord. When the grass stops growing so fast, they drag out the hoses and pay more money to water it so they can continue to mow it and get rid of it.
What nonsense. At least they keep some trees. That was a sheer stroke of genius, if I do say so myself. The trees grow leaves in the spring to provide beautiful colors and shapes in the summer. In autumn, they fall to the ground and form this natural blanket to keep moisture in the soil and protect the trees and bushes. Plus, as they rot, The leaves then enhance the soil, and it's called the circle of life.
Well, Laura, the suburbanites have drawn a new circle. I know this will be hard to believe, but as soon as the leaves fall, they rake them up into great piles and have them hauled away.
No. What do they do to protect the shrubs and the tree roots in the winter? To keep the soil moist and loose?
After throwing away the leaves, they go out and buy something they call mulch.
And where do they get this
They haul it
mulch?
in and spread it around in place of leaves. Where do they get it?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're sitting down, Lord. They cut down trees to grind them up.
Enough. I don't want to think about this anymore. St. Catherine, you're in charge of the arts. What movie shall you schedule for us tonight?
We have a movie called Dumb and Dumber, and Lord, it's really about...
Never mind. I think I just heard the whole story.
Right. Well, I hope that was a little entertaining for thinking about what we do with trees and mulch and what was originally planned.
Right.
But
Yes.
we have to try to keep the original plan in place.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, that's
But this time of the year, the fall, like we said in the beginning, is a very active time for your garden.
yeah.
Your annuals, and herbs like basil are fading in October. You can bring in a lot of things from the fall, especially herbs and that sort of thing to
Dry
use
'em.
in your
Yeah.
cooking, or you can plant your winter annuals now, which are pansies and kale. You can
Yeah.
do that in October.
And then snapdragons also do well here in the winter too.
Oh, okay, that's a good.
Yeah.
They're very pretty.
Yeah. So the first frost date could be early October. And so tropicals that you have outside, or any of your tender plants, you should be bringing in when the outdoor nighttime temperature is below 50.
Oh,
That's when they need to come in because they
Okay.
don't like it below 50 at night. So you can move your pots of caladiums indoors. You can pull it in before the leaves actually disappear.
oh,
And just let them dry, inside. And you can spray your plants with insecticidal soap to protect them,
Okay.
so you won't have any unwanted critters coming in with you. And for insecticidal soap, I take about 2 tablespoons of Murphy oil soap
oh, really?
to a gallon of water, and that makes a very good insecticidal soap. So,
Good.
and
Well, right now the mums should be blooming, and more mums to your garden where you need fall color. Finish planting your perennials and remember to mulch them.
yeah, right. Good time to separate perennials in October,
Yes.
now that it's getting a little cooler. And then if you want to buy bulbs for fall planting, you want to do it, well, you probably should have done it already, but, look now for the ones in the box stores sometimes. But I think you can still order some of them online at the nurseries. And you want to plant your crocus and daffodils after the soil has cooled a little.
Is the garden club going to sell Bella Vista daffodils?
Yes, we have ordered over 1,000. And we will be selling them sometime in October. We haven't got a date or place set yet,
Okay.
but watch
Okay.
the BellaVistaGardenClub.com website, and they'll have the information on there. I know they just had a daylily sale
Right.
this past month, and
Right.
so they'll have a daffodil sale later in October. And you want to plant them in odd groups, like 5, 3, 5, 7.
An odd number,
Odd
yeah.
numbers for some. It's just more appealing. And you can start your lilies and your tulips the end of the October. Tulips usually almost have to treat them like an annual. They don't do well here. They don't come back. And sometimes the squirrels dig them up. So.
Yes.
So you can plant your iris now. You can plant and divide your iris, and you can feed them now for a good spring bloom.
Oh,
in your
okay.
iris.
If you have roses, don't deadhead them anymore. You want them to
Yeah.
go to rose hips.
Yeah.
And if there's new growth, encourage it, but if it's susceptible to freezing, you can protect it with the leaf mulch.
Yeah.
So
anyway. But if they're too tall right now, you know, sometimes my hybrid teas would get up, you know,
Right.
really tall.
And then kind of stringy.
Yeah, and then
So
I
you
just
wanna-
cut them back to like 4 feet, and then,
Right. Right.
you know, they wouldn't rock in the
Right.
wind. So, and then the lawns, you know, you have to apply your pre-emergence herbicides, so you don't have spring weeds.
That's a good plan.
And you want to overseed your fescue lawns
Right.
in October.
Right.
And usually it's after the first freeze, or also the seeds. You can freeze the grass seed for a couple days before you put it out, and that would act like they've been out there in the first freeze.
Oh.
So they do that. The seed does well if you do that.
Okay.
And be sure and take the leaves off your grass so they don't smother them. So that's
Right. Right.
That's another thing you got to worry with leaves, is get it off your grass.
Well,
And
for your trees and shrubs, the October is the best month to plant
Oh, yeah.
all that. They say spring or fall for planting
Yeah.
trees or bushes.
yeah,
But yes, it's a good time.
yeah, because
it's a
in
little
the winter
easier than
they're just working on developing their roots, and they don't have to worry about putting out leaves and
Right.
and flowers. So
right.
yeah, you got to monitor your water though.
Yes.
Make sure you get enough rain over the winter. And you have to enjoy your vegetables. The end of the harvest is probably about now. But you plant your garlic in October.
Okay.
So be sure and plant your garlic, and then you'll harvest that next June.
Right.
So,
And that beautiful ornamental kale and the pansies, you can do some really beautiful
yeah,
arrangements
you
with.
can, yeah. But enjoy your fall crisp weather. That's
Oh,
the main thing
absolutely.
we have to do. And then if you have any other gardening questions, in October, the Benton County Master Gardener has a wonderful website, bentoncountygardening.org, is filled with gardening information. So it's just full of information.
Right,
Whatever you can
right.
and both Bella Vista Garden Club website too. And the October meeting of the Bella Vista Garden Club will be Wednesday, October 27th at the Bella Vista Community Church and on Lancashire.
Yeah.
With social time at 9:30 and the meeting at 10. And the speaker and the program this month is Tanya Collins. She's the marketing director for Apple Seeds Incorporated, and I don't know
Oh.
anything about this company,
I
but
don't either.
it's a teaching firm that creates programs to educate and excite young people, young students,
That's a great
about
idea.
healthy food.
Right, right.
Yeah. And guests are always welcome to join. I think we got 2 new members at the last meeting.
Good.
So
Good.
we have new people moving into the area, and we are a good source of information for them. And they can always go to bellavistagardenclub.com.
That's right.
So thank you, Barb, for joining me today.
Oh,
And
it's been
sharing all
fun.
your information on leaves and playing God and
Yeah.
our skit.
But
So,
thank you for inviting me too. We always have a good time.
yes, we do. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. And tune in again next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.